Alright, so I am going to do my best to make my first desktop video with my little face right there. So, that's what I searched the last time, but today I want to show you what the MIAC Report is. It's kind of old, from 2009, but, ooh, I just had it open. So, what this is basically a blueprint for how policing agencies, specifically in Missouri in this case, should treat people they associate with the modern militia movement. And this is a brief history of what they think and where it comes from. So there's things in here like the New World Order, Zionist occupied government, the militia of Montana is in there. Idaho is mentioned in there. The Branch Davidians are mentioned in there. The Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1992 fueled the movement, and they believe there's over 850 groups as of 2009 when this came out. Here's some, as they claim, noteworthy militia activity from 1995 to 1999. These are shootouts for the most part, and they don't really explain all the backstory to it. This is still prevalent today. It's just incidents that occurred because the FBI decided to do what they wanted to here. So whether or not they plotted to actually blow up an FBI fingerprint records center in West Virginia is debatable, being as though it didn't blow up. You don't really hear about these trials too much. I mean, there are some exceptions in this list. Robert Rudolph kind of got himself caught really oddly. It happens. They do catch some people that probably shouldn't be out there, but what he was doing really wasn't all that bad. People are going to disagree with me on that. He was blowing up places where they killed children, so he wasn't really hurting, as far as I know, the people that worked at those places, even though they were responsible for murdering hundreds of children. This is where they claim that there was a decline in the movement. There really wasn't a decline in the movement. It kind of moved a little bit. George W. Bush was not sympathetic, but he did stop doing what Clinton was doing to the militias. He didn't do a whole lot else. I mean, he didn't magnify it like Obama has. Here's the Oklahoma City bombing, which they claim that white supremacists did. Here's some, this is kind of noteworthy militia activity from 2000 to 2008. So the Michigan militia member is in here, like this 7/7/2003 one. Why was a state trooper serving a warrant? What was going on behind that? I mean, these are real short little things. I haven't done a lot of research into each and every incident. I probably should, and I probably will, but I haven't got to that part today. Feel free to do so if you want. But there's some other incidents in here, ATF, FBI. So this is where they claim that the reemergence comes from. It says right-wing extremists and militia leaders continuously exploit current world events in order to increase participation in their movements. Due to the current economical and political situation, a lush environment for militia activity has been created. Unemployment rates are high, as well as cost of living expenses. Additionally, President-elect Barack Obama is seen as tight on gun control, and many extremists fear that he will enact firearms confiscations. White supremacists from within the militia movement have further become angered due to the election of the first African-American president. Many constitutionalists within the movement have claimed that President-elect Obama does not meet the residency requirements to hold the office of president, and therefore his election is unconstitutional. Newer versions of the NWO conspiracy have been concocted in order to empower the movement. The NWO is seen as using law enforcement, military, National Guard, and federal agencies in order to carry out its elitist one-world government. Law enforcement and military forces are believed to be utilized in order to confiscate firearms and place individuals into FEMA concentration camps. This scenario has received additional attention due to the U.S. Army NORTHCOM assigning Homeland Security functions to an active duty infantry brigade. The movement sees this brigade as the force that will take their firearms, and that the unit is in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. There are also concerns that the banking and media infrastructure are also being controlled by the Jewish elite, and that these leaders are members of the NWO. There's a great deal of anger towards the Federal Reserve System and all forms of tax collection. And just about all of this has come to pass. We can see it quite clearly in our everyday lives. And maybe they were completely correct in being able to identify this at such an early time. President Obama has exacerbated every single one of these incidents. And the only one that I would take, and actually there's two parts of this I would take out of there. That President Barack Obama has a lot of white supremacists coming after him. I really haven't seen a whole lot of that. I do see a lot of black people calling themselves Black Lives Matter coming after white people, though. That's interesting. Where's the other part? Oh, the Jewish elite who supposedly control the banks. There are a lot of Jews that do control banks, but there's a lot of Jews that don't control banks too. I don't think Jewish state is solely behind the New World Order, but I do think there are Jewish members involved in it. And not even all the people that are in the New World Order are bad, but the organization itself and the leadership at the top, the people that are actually pushing for it, are definitely evil scumbags, and it is very real. So here's some things that they've done in Missouri and the United States that would have people that believe like you and I do up in arms. They wanted to ID actual bullets in Missouri, which did not pass, thankfully. Anticipation of the economic collapse of the U.S. government. We are currently witnessing that, and there are many channels that you can go to. Alex Jones' channel, X22. What is his name? I can't think of his name right now. If I think of it a little bit, then I'll go ahead and let you know. There's a lot of people out there that are economists and otherwise that are watching what's going on in the world with its interconnectedness and basically watching the United States fall apart. This map kind of shows what a Russian professor thinks will happen to the United States should any of these things go down. It may or may not be true. I personally don't see, this part going to Canada or Californian Republic, that kind of thing. I don't think that Utah would ever join with just California and let them be the seat of the whole national government for them, but you never know. There is still a call for a constitutional convention by many states. And there's very real fear that if there was a constitutional convention, the First and Second Amendments would be removed or changed to not mean what they mean today. It's a very real possibility, although we definitely need a constitutional convention, so it's kind of a roll of the dice. Here is the North American Union. I'm pretty sure that I've seen this map. I have seen the NAFTA superhighway plans, the hubs and everything, and that was not some fallacy. The NAU was not some fallacy. It's still in operations, although I haven't seen too many of the roads being built. Universal service, that would basically create a standing army with conscription in the United States, and radio frequency identification, which is just awful. It just tracks everything. So, how do you get to be one of the people that they will start watching for these kind of things? Well, you can be a Christian, a white nationalist, a sovereign citizen, militant abortion, tax resistors, or anti-immigration. With all these, are you a Christian? It's pretty much a huge chunk of the United States. It's almost all of us. It's a majority of us, at least. Are you a white nationalist? So all you got to do is be white. Things sound racist now. Or believe in your country. Well, now they want to claim that it's neo-Nazis. You can read that in a lot of different ways. sovereign citizen. You believe that the laws that are made in opposition to the Constitution are unconstitutional, not valid. Well, that makes you an enemy of the state. If you happen to own guns and happen to be an anti-abortionist, they're probably going to be watching you. If you resist paying your taxes, which are entirely illegal the way that they're orchestrated in the United States, then that's going to get you on this list. And if you don't want all these damn illegals coming into your country, or as we're calling them now, refugees, that's also going to get you put on the list. Here's some of the training that they claim that people get. I'm not going to go over that too much. These are the organizational categories that they have. And these are some of the implications for law enforcement, saying that militia members are getting more trained. It says that militia members are receiving advanced leadership and operational planning training. And the last one just says you are the enemy. Now this, keep in mind, is a document that's made for police officers, so police officers are the enemy according to this document. Militia subscribes to an anti-government and NWO mindset, which creates a threat to law enforcement officers. They view the military, National Guard, and law enforcement as a force that will confiscate their firearms and place them in FEMA concentration camps. Now, the problem with this is that the military, National Guard, and law enforcement is largely woken up by now. And what that ends up meaning is they're not going to be throwing us in FEMA camps, and they're basically going to have to bring in a different organization to do that, and they will be rounding up other National Guard, military, and law enforcement personnel, along with the common citizen that believes in these things. They claim that, let's see, here's the infrastructure at risk in Missouri. There's supposed to be a hub in Kansas City. That is where the plan is for the NAFTA and CAFTA deals. They want to make it so that no trucks can drive on most of our nation's highways now. And the main hub will be in Kansas City. Another target would be Federal Reserve banks, National Guard facilities, and federal buildings or facilities. IRS, the ATF, the FBI, FEMA. They must have missed the other BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, which, that's a big thing. So here's some of the political paraphernalia that they're looking for as overt signs. So if you're a Constitutional Party member, a Campaign for Liberty member, a Libertarian Material member, if you have any of that stuff on you, that's going to raise our suspicions. If you have ever thought that Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, or Bob Barr would make a good presidential candidate, would put you on their list. Anti-government propaganda. If you put the FRS, Federal Reserve System, the Internal Revenue System, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Central Intelligence Agency, the United Nations, law enforcement, the New World Order in a derogatory manner, that's going to get you on their radar. No. The New Age BLM, Black Lives Matter group does this on a constant, especially with local law enforcement. They have no respect for them, and actually many of their leaders are calling for the continued killing of cops, which is just disgusting and is happening way too frequently. And these are some of the symbols. Now, all these symbols pretty much are founding. They're in the flag code. I mean, if this is really what they're going to look for, somebody that understands the history of this nation as an indicator that you may be a violent terrorist, hell-bent on destroying the government from within, then I think they're looking the wrong way. We can be peaceful, we can believe in these things, and we can take care of it in a rational manner. We don't have to go out and blow shit up and, do all that. We can argue this out, but at some point, you can't argue anymore. when they have their guns drawn on you. So these are some of the movies and or books that if you've watched or read, that's going to put you on their list. And one of the reasons that they love the Patriot Act so much, they could track things like this. So that about wraps it up. I encourage you to go to Google and research this document and research the things that are in it. This really hasn't changed. It's just kind of morphed into something bigger, and it kind of got buried under everything else that's been going on. But when you look at this report, you can understand why police departments have MRAPs, and they're going after people like Clive and Bundy and all that kind of thing. So, well, I just wanted you to know, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You guys have a great night, and take care.